The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
I'm here to stand up for wrestling. I am here to give the fans a voice.
If you're not watching the promotion right now, you're missing out on something I think that could possibly shape the future of wrestling, and I mean this wholeheartedly, for the next 5 to 10 years.
Nobody can touch me. Nobody is better than Adam Cole.
This company is still existing, yet they have to do this at the 11th hour to make sure that they run these tapings. I thought TNA was going to be different, and I guess not.
This is truly the Kevin Owens Show.
Pentagon Jr. is the wind beneath my wings. The only thing that we get at 10 for sure, maybe at 11, is Ken Shamrock showing up.
TJ, you now know that you'll be defending your Cruiserweight Championship for the very first time against Brian Kendrick this Sunday at Clash of Champions.
You know, 32 of the very best in the world, 32 of the best Cruiserweights, put it all on the line to bring us here. Brian, 0 to 100, it's time to go.
Enjoy it while it lasts, huh?
I see you, Brian. I see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 213, part 2. And we have a lot to talk about, guys. We've got to jump into some NXT talk. That's right. We had some continuation there and some big matches. Plus Lucha Underground. That's right. The title was defended, maybe even 2. And then we're going to jump into some talk about TNA Impact Wrestling. That's right. They've got some stuff moving on to Bound for Glory. What's going to happen? The feuds are burning hot there. We'll be getting into everything about that. Plus, we're going to do a really cool thing. That's right. We are going to predict what we think is going to happen at Clash of Champions. We've got a big thing there, kind of give some of our personal thoughts and maybe some wild predictions. Plus, we're going to do quick hits. And like always, we crown a superstar of the week, along with actually, we'll be doing this towards at the end of the show, but we're going to also talk some New Japan. We'll be talking Destruction. We have a review and also talking about some preview stuff before we get to that as well. So this show is packed. Tons of great stuff for you guys. We can't wait to get into all of it. And just to let you guys know, if you're not already subscribed to the W2M Network, go do that now. One click gets you all our shows, all our like this episode, and of course the Monday Night Raw review, the SmackDown Live review, which is doing amazing, and of course everything else that we have, plus a lot of other great shows. Also, go to W2Mnet.com for all your reading pleasure. There's lots of cool things there. The wrestling section's got some really cool stuff. Plus, we also got all the other stuff you like in life, right? Football. We also got video games. Just go check the site out. You'll enjoy it. Trust me. Lots of great stuff to do. And, of course, I can't do this show alone. I'm your host, Gary Vaughn. Along with me is Mr. Paul Vieser. Hey-yo. And Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Paul, Sean? Well, I just, before we get into all that we have, I just want to stop for a second here, and I want to make a quick note, and, life is life, and that's the way things work. We have to do things and go through life, even though bad things happen, and, is being a trooper, and I'm really, happy that he's here with us tonight, but trust me, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't be. Sadly, Sean, you lost your grandfather just not long ago, probably about 48 hours ago, and our wishes and hope prayers are with you, man.
Skype is killing you today.
Why is it every time I jump on the show, every time we start the show, Skype kills me?
Skype is like, it's doing that dagger right now today. I heard every like other word you just said. So, yeah, I mean, it was. I found out at about 11 o'clock this morning, or yesterday morning, technically. If by the time this thing actually hits the download, it's technically my brother's birthday today. So my brother and everybody else got a terrible. Basically, get to find out on your birthday that somebody that I mean, my brother was even closer to my grandpa than I am. I was always closer to my grandma, but he was. I mean, look, he was 93, or he's gonna be 93 in December. So he lived a long life, and it's one of those like he had lived a lot of his life later, basically serving my grandma, who just kept getting worse and worse in her health. And pretty much kind of what saved him is my dad let him move in with him, and because there was a point where he didn't look good. He was living by himself, and I thought he was going to leave us a lot earlier than he has. So God bless for that. And I'm so glad that I at least got to come down for WrestleMania and see him one more time. Before but it just sucks. 2 out of the 3 times that I've come back to Texas now, it's because somebody passed away, and it really wasn't the way I wanted to come back for that. But Grandpa's a war hero. Owned his photography shop. He was he was the kindest guy ever. And I just want to say that I love him, and and now he's there with my grandma and watching down, and hopefully enjoying and great in that afterlife, whatever's going on with that. So yeah,
definitely. And if I'm still killing you guys, I'll stop talking. I don't know if the sky finally calmed down. Maybe not.
Now.
It's funny. We start the show and we talk pre-show fine, and then we start the show and then something happens.
It's like it knows. It's like I want to ruin your introduction.
Exactly. It's like, screw you guys. We're going to really ruin this thing. But anyway, since you can hear me, I just want to say this. I was lucky enough to have the pleasure to meet Sean's pop and get to know even his grandmother for a brief time, and they were so kind to me. They opened up their home. I remember going with Sean to watch a wrestling event and spending some time at their house, and he got up and cooked for me. I mean, this is, an older man, and I didn't expect any of that, but he's really, really kind man, and I just think we should dedicate this show to his memory, and just, really just, keep our thoughts on him and, the great thing, that he did in his life and everything, involved in his service for the military. So just want to throw that out there for you guys, and just to let you know that we're going to do this show in memory of him. All right, guys. Well, we have lots of stuff to talk about, and trust me, this whole show won't be a Debbie Downer. We're not going to let it be. I'm excited. I'm really excited about some of the things we got to talk about, because we not only got a lot of quick, awesome reviews, but we get a chance to sit here and talk about Clash of Champions. This is our final time that we're going to get to sit down and actually give you those predictions before that actually happens. And just to let anybody know who's a new listener, we will be doing a review show right after Clash of Champions. It's going to be Wrestling Unwrapped to the max. And that's going to be a show that you're going to be able to enjoy, because it's not only going to have us, but it's also going to have Patrick Ketza as a part of that show. And it's just a lot of fun, trust me. We love doing them. It's going to be a crazy time, lots of joking, lots of fun. You don't want to miss that. So just to give you guys that heads up. But let's do this, guys. Let's go ahead and break down this card real quick and go through our thoughts and predictions. Clash of Champions is going to have a pre-show, of course, and one of those pre-show matches we're going to get to see is Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox. Now, I don't know how excited you guys are about that, but it's going to happen.
It is definitely going to happen, Gary. You are right about that. For however long they decide to let Alicia look like she can hang, which is probably going to be all of 5 minutes, but we all know Nia Jax is going to sit on her and win.
Man, let's hope that Nia Jax debuts a new finisher or something. I don't know what the problem was with either the powerbomb or the shoulder breaker thing she did for a little while, or anything that's not that leg drop. But
she's got a sick Samoan drop.
Yeah, that too. Just her size doing anything like that would put somebody down. So I don't know what the big deal is. But yeah, it's just like Paul says. It's basically how long are they gonna have Alicia look like she's competent before Nia Jax just gets mad and puts her away? Who knows? It could be just a minute, for all we know. I'd imagine if they're gonna make it the pre-show, they're gonna try to make it at least last 5 minutes. If not, add another pre-show match somewhere. So.
Yeah, that's what makes me wonder if they will be adding another pre-show match. And, I've heard some, listening to some other shows and, some things in the world of wrestling. There's been talk about Paige coming back, and this could be a match, Paige having a friendship with Alicia Fox, maybe interrupting or basically making the save. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that would make it a lot more interesting, to be honest with you, because otherwise this is just going to be the squash of the century, and we'll just move on. So there you go. Now let's talk about a match that I think could be a lot more exciting, and that's the new Cruiserweight title match with T.J. Perkins defending against Brian Kendrick.
Man, I think TJP retains here. I think this will be really good, especially if they give it some time to really let them go out there and tell a story, which we all know Brian Kendrick could do, because that's pretty much what he did for the entire run of the Cruiserweight Classic, and we know what TJP brings to the table, so sleeper match of the night, and TJP retains.
Yeah, I think TJP retains. I don't think we should totally rule out the fact that WWE may have Brian Kendrick, because he has a name, possibly win the title. I don't think it's totally out of the question. I do question the fact of why TJP wasn't on Raw. I think that says a lot of why not have your champion be there, at least doing commentary or something. That's really weird. But, we'll have to see what they decide to do. I think either way, this is a really good first test for TJP. Hopefully, since you have what you would expect to be a face-heel dynamic, but again, it's in Indianapolis. I think Fonte and his friend Eli are both going to the show, so perhaps we'll get some kind of we were there post-show info. But we don't know if TJP is gonna be the face. I mean, if you get your typical middle of America crowds, you may get Brian Kendrick getting the cheers because people know who he is. So. That's something we need to probably watch out for as well. But yeah, this should still be a good match, and there is no excuse for any of these matches not to get time, because it is a single branded show, and they can go as long as they want to, and they have shown that they'll go long if they want to.
I hope if they go long, it's for a reason. I hope they don't just go long to do it. That's my fear, because sometimes I feel like they do that on purpose. But
for SmackDown they didn't. So
no, but SmackDown, it has its own flavor, and that's what's special about it. So that's why I loved Backlash. I mean, Backlash, it was just right amount of time. I'm really hoping this isn't too long too, because I'll be flipping back and forth between the NFL and this. So because the Dallas Cowboys do play on the same night that we have to have a pay-per-view. Anyway, enough about me grumbling. We're going to be getting into another match, which by the way, I don't think I've mentioned my picks. Nia Jax, like you guys, and I'm going to go with TJ Perkins. I think Sean's point's very good. I mean, there's plenty of people who do actually still remember Brian Kendrick, and that would be a good name with that title, but I think for some reason in my gut, TJ Perkins is going to...
I was going to say, be careful not to piss off the Middle America people again.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing too much of that anyway. We'll move on and talk about Cesaro, and he will be facing off against Sheamus in the final Best of 7 series match, and this is going to be very interesting because we've seen this big comeback by Cesaro, winning 3 straight after Sheamus won the first 3. I don't know. I'm really curious about this. I fully, in my personal belief, think that Cesaro's going to win. If Cesaro didn't win, to me, it'd be kind of a waste. But I get it. I would understand too, and it's it helps Sheamus. But I think Cesaro kind of needs this. What do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, Cesaro absolutely needs this more right now. Sheamus, I feel like you can sort of turn around and remake again, put him back in that top echelon if you want to. Cesaro is the one that needs to push here. He needs to help in getting that match with Kevin Owens and letting that, I mean, maybe even headline your next Raw pay-per-view show could be really the shot in the arm he needs.
What match are we talking about again?
We are Cesaro and Sheamus.
You know what? Cesaro better win this thing. That's all I'm going to say. Him and Owens or him and Rollins, whoever's going to win the world title match, would be a terrific program to have on the next single-branded show of Hell in a Cell or whatever, whether it's Hell in a Cell or they just do it on a Raw, I guess. They could do that too. I could totally see that being a thing. They promised Cesaro a world title match and they just do it on a Raw because now they have another whole month to go before they have another show. So, that's a possible thing. Did they say for sure a world title match, or did they say a title match?
I'm pretty sure it's a Universal title match.
Okay. Just making sure then. Yeah, I think Cesaro definitely wins. I don't think Cesaro's not the type of guy that we're going to have him get all the way to 3-3 and, oh, it's a bigger deal that he lost. You really hurt him if you have Sheamus. And then nobody's going to freaking care about Sheamus winning. So what would be the point of that?
Yeah, exactly. Once again, Cesaro really needs it badly. I think he wins as well. I mean, it only makes the most sense. And not only that Kevin Owens and Cesaro match would just be that much more exciting. I think people will really be excited about that. Let's talk about Roman Reigns and Rusev. That's right. Rusev is putting his U.S. Championship on the line, even though it's not voluntary. They're making him. And this is going to be one that I think we've been talking about for quite a while now because of the fact that, Roman Reigns is that guy that's kind of controversial and, there's a possibility that, some people see him getting gold sooner than later. What do you think, Paul?
I'm left scratching my head what you do with Rusev after this, but I think Roman Reigns is your guy for the title right now, and whether this actually does the job of turning him around and making people care about him and cheer him and whatever else the WWE wants for him is up in the air, but I'm real nervous for Rusev after this one.
Yeah, I think Roman's, I agree with Paul, Roman's winning this thing. I think you have had too much of a feud with him and Rusev not to have some kind of payoff finally, and I think that's Roman winning. I think you have to do it just because you need Roman to be out of the main title picture for a little while. You give him a break. This is the only way you're possibly going to get the crowd to do anything but boo him, is give him a break. And if you have him be the U.S. champion and he can go out there and have good matches when he wrestles somebody that's not Rusev, not that he's having bad matches with Rusev, I'm just saying once he gets past Rusev finally and he's on to an actual program as U.S. champion, I think we'll really get to see what they're going to have in Roman. And either way, even as U.S. champion, you could still, if you want to, because remember, Rock was Intercontinental champion when for a while when he finally just turned on everybody. You could do that. You could have the U.S. title be a sort of a thing that leads to his eventual just flat out heel turn because no matter what they're doing, nobody's cheering him, and you never know what can happen after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, very true. And, I'm really kind of curious, if they would be willing to do that. I think that, Roman Reigns is a guy, like Sean's saying, that needs this title only because if they don't give it to him, people are going to continue looking at him the same way. If he wants to change people's minds, he's going to have to be a champion and play that role before he gets the Universal title and plays the same role. I think they need that preview. I think they need to figure things out on a lower level. I know it sounds kind of, but on a lower level than the Universal title, because I think people will be less hard on him as U.S. champion than they would be as the Universal champion. And people will still get their happiness out of the fact that their fan favorites are the Universal champion. People can get over the U.S. championship. Honestly, for the most part right now, no one's really got their heart and tied to that title. Let's be honest. Let's talk about Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho for the battle of who was not the stupid idiot. This is interesting because I look at this in two different ways. Chris Jericho winning, to an extent, could be possible because, they want to keep Chris Jericho, relevant, let's be honest, because he has lost a few matches here and there, and they're big matches. But Sami Zayn could really use this, I think, and of course, let Chris Jericho kind of be that springboard for him too. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I mean, Sammy wins here. You're definitely up for another Kevin Owens feud right there, right now. And really they should, because they need to capitalize. Whether they have Sammy win or not again, doesn't matter. He has a win over Kevin Owens, a big win, and they really need to address that. And hopefully this win over Chris Jericho puts him in that spotlight to be able to do so.
I'm sure they'll build to that, but I don't think it's right away. I think you're at least getting another month out of Rollins and Owens, and especially if it's going to be inside of a Hell in a Cell. They have the storyline built for that thing to go a little bit with all the other things that are going on with it. They could have. I mean, he's obviously got to get through Cesaro first, but they could have Zayn sort of in that hunt, and then they pull the trigger on that later, or it's another one that they just use on Raw because again they have those long periods between shows. I'm gonna go with Zayn here as well. He really needs to win this. I hope we don't do any kind of dumb finish or have Kevin Owens get involved or anything like that. Just let the two go out there. Jericho puts him over, and there you go.
I had Roman Reigns in the last match, and I almost want to pick the heel in this match and pick Chris Jericho, only because I could see him, maybe making this feud a little longer, kind of giving it some more time to build. I don't know, though. I have a hard time doing it. I just got to go with Sami Zayn. It's another gut feeling. We'll see if that actually takes place. But I think Sami Zayn getting a victory here would do him a lot of good as well. And Chris Jericho, let's be honest, doesn't necessarily need to win. So let's talk about the Women's Championship. Let's talk about the fact that Charlotte will be defending that Raw Women's Championship against Bayley and Sasha Banks in a triple threat match. And this could be a very good match, or, honestly, it could be a letdown. I don't know. I think the history that they have, on the NXT brand speaks that it could be very awesome, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to Sasha, I think. You could maybe justify Charlotte retaining if they're going to go down the Dana Brooke road. But I think you just move the belt back to Sasha and just either have Dana Brooke go with Sasha or Bayley goes with Sasha. You have more options, I think, that way. And you still have Nia waiting in the wings somewhere, too. So.
What would be interesting is if you went with Sasha and Bayley and, trying to think of big things for the women. Hell in a Cell women's match. I mean, you really can't get much bigger than that. It really puts them on equal footing. Yes, they don't have necessarily they don't have the heat with each other, but they've had secondary Hell in a Cell matches before that don't have the storyline. And you don't necessarily, when you're going to have a Hell in a Cell show, you don't have to justify why the hell you're having the Hell in a Cell. Let's be honest here. Yeah, and you already have the main event match that has that. It would have the storyline that would necessitate having that match. But when it's built around that gimmick, usually have at least one more. And I think it would, again, do the whole showing equality, showing that the women can do just as much as the men, have them both be in a match. And it's already an epic match because it's Sasha versus Bayley on the main stage, but you add more to it there. They probably won't do it, but just a thought.
I like the thought. I mean, you want to bring things that are new, bring something that's historical, and just get the crowd behind it. And I think that would be, definitely a huge help. I think that, they'll probably eventually get to that one day. I'm not sold it's right now. I think one day they'll have to do it, though. And it wouldn't surprise me if one day Nia Jax is a part of that, just because, can you escape the Hell in a Cell with this lady? I don't know. That's scary, But, we'll have to see. I think that, eventually we will get to, the point to where we will eventually, I think, see Sasha. I think Sasha would be a great person to face Nia Jax in the future as champion. I kind of agree with Paul on that. Bayley's awesome, too. But I think Bayley's going to have her moment. But I'm still not sold that Bayley's going to get a title anytime soon. Charlotte, I mean, I really think that in this match it's going to come down to Charlotte's going to get screwed over somehow by Dana Brooke. Even if it's on accident, I think somehow she's going to cost her that title, and then it's going to become a feud between them. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm going to go Sasha Banks here. Moving on, let's go to the Tag Team Championships. The New Day will be facing off against Gallows and Anderson, and this is going to be one that could be very interesting because I keep hearing people say, oh, we think Gallows and Anderson. I think I'm on that line, too. I really feel like the Gallows and Anderson, this is their time, and the New Day not being champions is going to be something new to people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of bitter that they didn't move the belts last time around, but here we are again. Gallows and Anderson are a bit more serious this go around, and hopefully are willing to go, even if it's not clean. I think they just need a win. I don't care, even if they don't move the belts. Gallows and Anderson just need a win.
I agree there. They need a win. I agree that they don't have to move the belts. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could get another month out of this, certainly. It's not like they really have just all these great tag teams over there on Raw that you're just dying for the New Day to wrestle or anything, other than Enzo and Cass. And do you really want to start that thing at something like... I could see them not doing anything still when you put New Day and Enzo and Cass in a Survivor Series team with each other or something like that. I think you can... Yeah, you need to have Gallows and Anderson win here at least. If you don't move the titles, then you can move the titles over to Gallows and Anderson at Hell in a Cell. I just think it might be a little bit of time to have them lose the belt, and let's see what happens to New Day after that. Just to kind of hit a refresh button on the tag division and see what happens there.
Yeah, I think they do need a refresher, and like you guys saying, I don't know if it's this time, but I do feel like that it's going to be. That's just my prediction, but I get it, and kind of spreading this thing on down the line could actually help be more successful. But I don't know. For me personally, I want to see the New Day not as champions, just to see them kind of get back into the mode of having to be more entertaining. I've not really been thrilled with the New Day lately, and I think they need some motivation again or something to get them back, because right now it's like they're kind of just, we're here, we're doing our thing, but it's just not so entertaining. So I want them to have a reason to get back into that. And, of course, I would love to see Gallows and Anderson actually get some love for once. Kevin Owens has his Universal Championship, and he will be putting it on the line against Seth Rollins in the main event in this show. And boy, I mean, there, is different thought process on this one as well. Maybe Triple H gets involved. Maybe it's a clean match and one of these guys gets over. I don't know if it's going to happen with a controversial ending, but I will say this. If you ask me, I think Kevin Owens walks away Universal Champion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens walks out Universal Champion too, whether it's because he wins clean or because we get more on the Triple H saga that's going on. Kevin Owens walks out with the belt, and I think it puts a lot of doubt on who gets that Hell in a Cell match if they just do one. Is it going to be Triple H and Seth Rollins? Is it going to be Kevin Owens and maybe a Sami Zayn? Lots of options, I think, to go with. But Kevin Owens is your winner.
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens wins here. Like I said, they got at least another month of whatever this is going to be, whether Triple H does get involved, or whether it's just Rollins and Owens again. Owens needs to win here, because Rollins is they're kind of transitioning him into a face. You don't want to give him the title too quick, and then maybe that change doesn't happen yet. You want that change to be fully realized, and then you give him the belt if you're going to, because you want it to be about the chase. So I'll say Kevin Owens. Plus, Kevin Owens has been great, so you don't want him to lose the belt yet.
Oh, definitely not. That would be the biggest bummer, to be honest with you. I think that show immediately would lose a point or two for me if Kevin Owens lost the belt. Even if it was a good match, I still would be bummed out. They're probably that much. But yeah, that's your card for Clash of Champions, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to actually be a good one. I hope it lives up to Backlash. I know that's going to be the standard right now we're going to hold it to. Yeah, I mean, I think, the card's good enough as we went through it. I really feel like there's lots of potential there. So we'll see, though. Well, now we are going to move on and talk some wrestling news, guys. We've got a little bit of, to talk about. Not a lot this week. We're going to kind of calm down a quick hits just for the fact that we've got lots of reviews. We had to add some other stuff in, some predictions into the show. So we'll just get through some of these highlights real quick, and then we'll move on to some of the great stuff. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and talk some quick hits.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Go.
All right. Let's go. I'm sorry. You have me on mute. I couldn't hear the click. You mute me. All right. So let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's talk Cody Rhodes again. I know we've been talking lots about Cody Rhodes, but I mean, he's circulating constantly through the wrestling news because of different things. And, he has finally inked the deal with TNA. It is actually official. The handshake wasn't good enough for Dixie. She wanted it on the dotted line, so we got it. But, just to let everybody know, if you didn't get a chance to listen to Tuesday's show, there was the stipulation that Cody Rhodes still has the opportunity to work with New Japan, Ring of Honor. So that's good news for him. That's good news for TNA too, because, they're going to have a happy man working with them, and he'll probably be working the biggest dates that they need him to work. So this is a good deal. The one thing that we do know, and we found out this week, is he will be making his debut at Bound for Glory. Paul, I mean, to me, that's really good. That's a great idea. You want Bound for Glory to be special. They have some matches that they feel are strong enough to make that show. But a name like Cody Rhodes added to that show just makes the intrigue, to me, more. And I think people are actually going to say, you know what, I'm going to shell out the money to watch this because I want to see Cody Rhodes in a six-sided ring.
Here, I don't have a problem with Cody going to TNA. It makes sense. But who the heck is he going to face? All the big names for TNA are already tied up in matches and feuds and whatnot. And the thing that's made Cody Rhodes so great to follow around the indie scene is to see who he's wrestling. Guys like Kurt Angle, guys like Chris Hero, these big names that you can get out there. TNA's big names are already busy. So is he just going to show up and squash somebody? Is he showing up and supporting Brandy? I kind of need more here because I really don't know.
Well, isn't Moose and Bobby Lashley a thing? So that means Mike Bennett's not doing anything, right?
Moose is wrestling Mike Bennett at Bound for Glory.
I thought he was wrestling Lashley.
No,
Lashley's
wrestling.
That's right. Never mind.
Yeah, my close personal friend EC3.
That's right. He would know. Paul would have that inside scoop. Yeah. I mean that's. I would assume, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Aaron Rex is tied up with somebody too, so he couldn't wrestle his old friend either. Yeah, I would assume he just, whoever they decide, some X Division person or somebody, probably. And maybe he doesn't wrestle at all, maybe he just shows up there. Maybe he just debuts, he does one of those, hey, it's me, I'm Cody Rhodes when I get a promo. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. It's Cody Rhodes going to rail on WWE for 15 minutes.
I completely spaced that they announced the Bound for Gold thing on this last episode of Impact too. The gauntlet match that they used to do, so he could probably be in that if he's going to wrestle. But
oh, that's true. I didn't put that together either. Wow, but this is going to be cool. For me personally, I mean, I think he's definitely made a big name for himself, big enough to, all the WWE fans that miss him probably have seen some of this news. And now that it's, as a part of a major company, this is going to get it around even more. People are going to see this. And I just think it's really good for Bound for Glory. I really do. And sure, I know it sounds kind of like, oh, it's all on Cody Rhodes. It's not. I mean, the show does have things to offer, but I just feel like the intrigue is there because of that. Otherwise, people are just saying, oh, well, it's the normal guys, same people we've seen all the time, So I just feel like it's a good deal. And Cody Rhodes, to me, is a guy that right now, he's the hottest name. We all know this. And, when you see him go from this to Ring of Honor, it's going to be a big deal. So this guy, I mean, I don't know for how long, but right now, I mean, he's definitely the guy that you want to see, you want to hear about. Let's talk about some other cool stuff going on. Let's talk about the fact that Awesome Kong is actually going to be a part of a Netflix original show, and that is Glow. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard us talk about Glow before, but that, of course, is the professional wrestling series that Netflix is coming out with. It actually takes place in the 80s, and it's all about a women's professional wrestling promotion called Glow. I just, this is a smart move for Awesome Kong, of course, because I don't really know what she's doing. I'm sure she's still wrestling out there on the indie circuit, but you just don't really hear a lot about her these days. So, I mean, this is really cool to hear that she's got something big like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm insanely interested in how they're going to do this Glow TV series and exactly how it's going to be presented and everything. And they keep adding names like with real wrestlers to it, and you're going to have me interested from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're adding actual wrestlers to this too. So you don't just have actors portraying wrestlers. You actually, wrestling fans get to see wrestlers they might actually know on the show too. And this is, I think, somebody that not a lot of people expected. So, and it's somebody that stands out as well. So if you see her, it could get her more gigs down the line too.
Definitely. And I mean, and that's good for her, for, her family, because, let's be honest, she has not exactly been a fan favorite in some of these bigger locker rooms. She's kind of caused some trouble, some controversy, and her and Rebby Sky getting into it ended her TNA career prematurely. So I think this is at least something that she can go and do and, maybe make her name in a different world, which is acting. I think that's a really good deal for her, and I'm really happy for her. We'll have to see, what other stuff that she'll be involved in the near future, but I think this is great. So, talking about, the world of professional wrestling, we know that there's a lot of cool stuff coming our way in the near future. And, one thing I want to talk about really quickly is the fact that, we do have some, bigger shows coming our way, like we just talked about Clash of Champions. And I just want to ask this question before we get into anything else. The way that they are doing these shows now and the way they are spreading them out, we're doing, on this show at least, we've got pay-per-views every 2 to 3 weeks, and that's a pretty regular basis, plus all the stuff that's on the network. I was watching the network this week, and, there's so much stuff to get into. Of course, now we have the post-shows, not just the pre-shows to SmackDown Live and, of course, Raw, but now we have kind of these post-shows and things like that. Do you think WB is finally hitting their really, I don't want to say smooth, but really hitting their rhythm? Because I kind of feel like now you can almost every day turn on the network and see something in there new, turning on and finding out some information. Just because they added so much to the old section, they've added so much to the current section. I mean, how do you feel about that? Right now, where are you at when it comes to, this network?
For me, the network only gets turned on when the pay-per-views are on and for NXT. Whenever they do something big, I binged through all of Holy Foley pretty quickly. The Cruiserweight Classic, of course, was something I kept up with weekly. So, I mean, I think what gets me more is original programming. Not and as much as I love the option of having the older stuff there, and I certainly do watch it whenever I get a wild burr up my butt, but it's nothing regular, you know.
So they haven't sold you completely on everything they're doing, is what you're saying.
I'm sold on the idea of the network. I just think they need more. Their original content is slow to come out, and I think it's just because they're trying to be careful with how much they put on there. And this is, you know, ever since the network came out, I've been harping on them for older promotions and stuff like that, and stuff they have the tape libraries for that they haven't put out there, just because there are people who are interested in that. And someday I will go and watch all that. But right now, with everything that we do, everything I'm doing outside the show, you know, there's no time. And so the only times whenever I do is whenever they make something original. And I think that's what's really they need to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of the same thing. It's a little bit more about having time. Because, you know, we watch so much wrestling as it is that the last thing I want to do usually is watch something that has anything to do with wrestling for a while. I mean, we also Gary and I watch all the NFL games. We watch a lot of college football games. So I usually run to just regular shows that don't have anything to do with things that we watch a lot. So I think we've talked about it. I think we might have talked about it last week, like shows that we kind of were starting to watch or whatever, like, you know, American Horror Stories and Hawk Catch Fire and other stuff that doesn't have to do with anything that involves the WWE Network or whatever. I mean, I've watched like the first episode of Holy Foley. I haven't watched the other 4 yet. It's not that it's not interesting. It's that if we watch less stuff, I think I would probably watch the network more. You know, we're kind of oversaturated on the wrestling, and so that I don't burn myself out, I kind of just stay away from the network until we have to actually use it for something.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And, you know, a lot of times I'll be working on something when it comes to the football section of the website, and I'll be having, you know, the network on, watching NXT, and, you know, of course, doing that at the same time. And, you know, sometimes I'll let it run over and see some of the things. And so that kind of brought me to a thought process of, I am enjoying it for the most part. There are still some things that are interesting on there maybe that I missed, and I just think they're doing a good job. I do understand the point that they do need to add some other things, but I think in due time.
I think that big like clump of like old stuff they just added, like that's really cool to me. Like, I mean, it's great that they keep adding every year of Raw, and eventually I guess they'll catch up with the SmackDowns or whatever, but like to me, like the fact that they went and found the Battle of Los Angeles or whatever, and I don't know if that's actually what it was called. I can't remember right this second, but like that got a lot of internet buzz for a while, like that whole week that they found an actual nice looking copy of it, and I think it might have been one of the wrestlers that actually had a copy, and they gave it to WWE or something, and then they had a bunch of other clump of old stuff that they kind of all added together, and that's kind of cool, even though it sort of helps a certain audience, you know, the most hardcore audience. It's still pretty cool that it's there, and you can tell somebody, you can tell an older fan like, oh hey, they added something from the 70s in here, the 80s, and you can watch that. But there's also stuff from almost everybody on there, which is what you want, right? If you really want to be the Netflix of wrestling, you kind of have to have something for everybody, and they are starting to do that.
Oh, they really are. I agree. You know, the network would do so awesome, I think, and this is just because I am a freak for this, but I think if they had a show based on the Broken Matt Hardy thing, you know, and WB is interested in him. You know, his contract will be coming up, I think, pretty soon here. You know, who knows what he wants to do. But I know WB is interested in him, and I could imagine, you know, them also having a series or so on their network just for that crazy story. But anyway, that's an interesting name to link with WB, because I don't know if he would be interested in coming, because, you know, creatively, I don't think he'd have as much freedom. But what do you think? Do you think that could ever happen, Broken Matt Hardy and WB?
Broken Matt Hardy, I don't think would be in the WWE. Not because I don't think it would work, but because I think it's such a, as you said, it's such a Matt Hardy centric creation, and something I imagine he has a great deal of freedom over, and gets to work with the writing crew and all that stuff about how it works and what's going to happen and things that it just wouldn't fly in WWE. So I think this is one of those things where staying in a smaller promotion to continue this might be what he wants to do right now, and it makes TNA relevant. It keeps him relevant, and I don't know if he would become lost in the sea of, all the brilliance that's floating around WWE.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm like, so I spaced for a second there. Seriously, like my head just decided to like go cloudy for a second. I'm worried.
What about Broken Matt Hardy at WWE?
The thing is with that is I don't think WWE would Vince get off his high horse and go, we're gonna let Matt Hardy bring this character from another company that everybody knows this is one of those things that, like, there's a lot more people that know that he's doing this in TNA than, say, just a regular TNA character being in TNA. So remember, there's delete chants that happen at WWE shows now. There's delete signs. There's broken Matt Hardy signs. There's these things appear at WWE shows, and then let alone like if maybe you even have him make an appearance in NXT or something, people are gonna know where that's from. And you have him do that character, you have him show up with like Vanguard 1 or whatever. Would Vince go, that's totally okay, I don't care, just bring him over, I want that character, let's just act like that he never did in TNA or whatever. Would he do that? Or would he say, well, I want Matt Hardy just so TNA doesn't have Matt Hardy, and he's just going to be Matt Hardy, the Matt Hardy we know?
Yeah, I get you, and that's my biggest worry. I don't want that to change, and to be honest with you, it's going to be selfish, but I'm completely happy with Broken Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy doing this in TNA and not moving anywhere else, unless it's to another place that will let you do the same shtick that they're doing now, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I know the money's bigger in WWE, but I know for a fact that their creative juices are not going to get to flow. They're going to have to sit back and let somebody else that went to Duke write this for them, and then it's going to be halfway done. It's going to look stupid, and then they're going to tell Rebby, "No, you can't even walk into our locker room." In fact, if you want to see, there's a Ticketmaster. Go buy a ticket.
But also too, like the thing is, like this thing with Matt works right now because Jeff is there, and they're sort of working with each other. It's the whole family thing. So if you take Rebby away, if you take Maxwell away. They already took Senior Benjamin away, but I'm sure. Like, if you don't have that whole package, is it really the same thing?
I agree with you, and I think at WWE you would have to have Jeff Hardy. Now, in TNA, I honestly feel like Jeff could leave that, and Broken Matt Hardy's fine with his wife and kid. WWE is different, though. You would have to have Jeff. There would be no doubt. So.
Because they would probably have Jeff be the way Jeff was before he became the broken Jeff. To offset that you have the broken Matt. So you can have a regular Hardy and you can have broken Matt. So you don't have people going, well, who the hell is this? Because we have to remember, we're getting to that point in time where, like, the Attitude Era people are old. And I'm talking about myself here, too. I'm just saying that... we're starting to get to that generation now where it's the people that were around that started watching after the Attitude Era that may not know some of the Attitude Era stuff, especially the Hardys who they may not have seen in a long time, and they go, what the hell is this? So you might have to have one that that counteracts the other, and you may not be able to bring them all. Now you can have Broken Matt turn him into Broken Brother Nero or whatever once he's on the show, but I don't think you can bring the whole clan Broken in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be amazing to see. Could you imagine? Like they just all broken.
I'm sorry, I would love it. It'd be so amazing. I just can imagine the things that they could do, but it's not going to happen. If it happens, hell froze over. I'll say it that way. Anyway, well, just to let everybody know, really quickly, a quick note: if you're getting WWE 2K17, you can be a Paul Heyman guy if you do buy the game. So just want to throw that out there if you have not heard that yet. That's right, you can be a Paul Heyman guy in the game. Maybe it's a bigger selling point for you to buy it. I don't know. And maybe one for me if I was going to go buy it. So, but anyway, that is
Hold on,
quick.
go ahead. There's some stuff here.
Okay, go ahead.
Alberto Del Rio is going to work for AAA. He's going to work at their Héroes Inmortales show, which is on October 2nd. And he actually, AAA was the only company that would pay the $4,000 appearance fee because CMLL would not, so he's not going to be able to work New Japan like a lot of people were thinking he would. And he's sort of replacing Rey Mysterio on this other show. So I think nothing known yet on if he's going to show up in Lucha Underground or not again. But he is going to be working AAA in Mexico, at least for this show. And then let's see what happens beyond that. But it seems like AAA is the only one that wants to pay his asking price. And also, Access TV made this big deal with this MMA company. So New Japan on Access will now be, I think, starting sometime in the I don't know how far into the future. I think it's like in a couple months. New Japan on Access will be on at 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. And they'll get a midnight replay as well. So, at least we know where Alberto is going to be for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a bummer. He's not going to be a part of New Japan. I mean, just because I would love to see that. I mean, I don't know, Paul. I mean, I think it'd be interesting.
I think it'd be cool. I'm not shocked AAA is the only one who's willing to pay his ass, but I mean, if he's working AAA, I don't think Lucha Underground's too far behind the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
didn't he have that feud still with? Did they finish that feud? Him and Mundo, or?
I mean, Mundo got the win, and then he left the company, so they just sort of left it at that.
Yeah, I mean, he could always be added to something with whatever's going on with Dario Cueto and stuff. So that's something. I mean, I would just really be interested to see what he's going to wind up doing and everything there.
Yeah, I would be too. I really do hope that's his next spot. I just think it makes a lot of sense, and he did pretty well for himself over there in Lucha Underground. Hopefully that is his next home.
And
all right.
Devon's apparently he might go back to WWE and be an agent, and then we might actually get Bully Ray by himself on the indies, because he wants to keep being a singles guy.
Wow. So Bully Ray finally, so I get to see that chain again. I'm excited. That is going to be fun.
And you can go back on the Twin Machine and everything.
Ooh.
And Rico, apparently, I don't know if everybody remembers the Rico from Billy and Chuck. He's been having some health problems with a collapsed lung and some heart problems, and from when he had all these concussions, and he's even having memory loss and everything from it, so it's pretty sad.
That's definitely going to affect his police career. I know he was part of the sheriff's department. I used to be like
a big fan of Rico, Gary.
I did. I mean, he was a lot of fun to watch. I can't remember exactly what I liked about him. I think I just liked the fact that he had good style. So. Yeah, just I pictured myself as him many times, and then I realized that's not a good idea. So, Hey, when you pretend that you're, Rico, and then you start looking at Chuck Palumbo in weird ways, you got to stop.
Oh, man.
Anyway, moving on, because Chuck Palumbo was a WCW guy. That's why. We are going to get out of this. And we are going to run over and do some NXT discussion. That's right. We had an interesting show this week. We had some things that kind of popped up that make you go, huh. So we'll be right back with some NXT next for you guys.
WWE Developmental NXT.
All right, NXT, which has a nice main event because Cedric Alexander makes his debut on this show. So you get to see him no longer Cruiserweight Classic now. He just is a regular, I guess, whenever he's not doing Raw, a regular member of the roster as well. And they do show stuff of him from the CWC and everything. So, and he gets some major chants from the crowd. He also gets a nice little promo there as well. We'll just kind of go in a different order here. And then, of course, he has the main event match with Andrade Cien Almas, which is actually, I thought it was pretty good. Of course, and Cedric Alexander wins, of all things, considering that, Almas is the guy that has been there. But I think this is leading to something good for Almas. Maybe he's going to turn.
Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. I don't know if he needs to turn, but he's in that same area where Apollo Crews is. He's just Guy. We don't know a whole ton about him yet, so they really need to work on getting his characterization down and all that good stuff. But Cedric's just a guy who leaps off your screen, both literally and physically. Dude's got insane leaps. I think the dude's got a natural charisma about him too, that translates very well across television. So I think Cedric could blow up pretty big in NXT, which is going to be interesting because what if he wins the NXT title and he's only in the Cruiserweight division? Food for thought.
Yeah, just imagine him walking in on Raw with that title around his waist, and I'm here trying to get another title. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting.
Well, they do like to ignore what happens on NXT when it's convenient for them. So
that is very true. NXT does not get the respect that you would think it would. But I don't know. I would like to actually kind of see Cedric Alexander as the NXT champion, but I mean, I'm not sure they're going to go that direction so fast. It's going to take a minute to get him there.
Absolutely. I thought it was fun food for thought scenario.
Mm-hmm.
They did have Liv Morgan got to, of course, she's angling for a match with Asuka, and she will get that match next week. So she's saying, hey, look, Asuka's saying that the whole division's done because she beat everyone. Well, hey, I'm still standing here, and I'm part of this division, so she's not going to just come take me down. And you also get a match with Aaliyah and Billie Kay. Billie Kay wins. I thought Aaliyah, again, kind of slowly but surely looking better every time she wrestles. I don't know what the whole let's do a submission against the ropes that you can't win with. But, hey, it's something for her. It's something that you can kind of recognize her for. And you also get a little promo with Mandy Rose, which I thought they're going. It seems a little bit like they're going with another Eva Marie kind of thing with Mandy Rose, where she obviously thinks she's better just because she looks better. So, there's that as well. What'd you all think of everything they did with the women here on this show?
I thought it was real nice that they let Liv Morgan have some televised last words before Asuka absolutely murders her next week.
So very true. And what's interesting, she actually didn't do just terrible on the mic. How harsh I am at times with, especially, how it was with Carmella. Which, by the way, Carmella and talking smack, I started crying again. I got a huge headache from that. But anyway, Liv Morgan did fine. She did fine on this episode of NXT, doing her little promo there. And, I'm glad that she's getting this opportunity. I wasn't sure that they were really sold on her, but apparently they are. And I'm happy with it. And I'm, we'll have to see. And Mandy's one that I'm kind of interested in, too, only because I don't know. I'm still kind of lost on if she's going to do anything. More like a Total Divas type, if you ask me.
Yeah. I think that she actually, when we saw her wrestle on that show, I thought she did fine. I think she's certainly going to have a character that's going to get on people's nerves, and that's what you want as a heel. So, if anything, again, if worse comes to worse, if they ever decide to reinstitute the valet thing, she could do that, or she could just be a character on the show. She doesn't have to wrestle all the time, but I think she's doing okay in the in-ring department, so, we'll have to see how that goes with her, but a good sort of first step to try to get her into a feud, because you haven't really got to see a whole lot of her. And somebody else we haven't gotten to see a whole lot of is Oni Lorcan. Of course, the former Christopher Gerard. Of course, the former Biff Busick. He has about a 6-minute match with Austin Aries, which I thought, again, good. But this is basically just to get Austin Aries a win so that, he looks good on TV. And at least Lorcan wasn't just squashed here.
Yeah, it was a very competitive match. I thought this was one of the better sort of extended squashes that we've seen recently on NXT, because I think Mr. Oni Lorcan got just the right amount of offense in to where it looked like Aries was he was still dangerous, but Aries still had them well under control,
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And, this is fine. This gets you what you need out of these guys. Austin Aries needs that time to talk. He really does, because he's got to get over the next thing he's doing. And, at least a young talent gets an opportunity against a talent like the Austin Aries, and he gets to look good doing it. That's the positive thing here. I was very fine with all of this.
Yeah, and then Aries basically again calls out Hideo and tells him, that he isn't scared of Hideo. He just was at home last week because he has better things to do. And, he says, okay, well, Hideo, you're a coward. And Hideo comes out, and, of course, Austin Aries is like, well, I'm getting out of here. And it looks like we lost Paul. And, man, Skype has been our wonderful friend today. And, yeah, so, you get more, it's simple, but you get more Hideo and Aries stuff as they're obviously building to trying to make that another big NXT TakeOver match.
Yeah, and they are really building it, and I think, where they're getting with it so far is, maybe kind of slower, but they are getting to their point, and I once again, I'm happy with it. I think that they're going to have, more great stuff to come our way. It's just right now, it's just, slowly getting there.
Yeah, not everything has to be built in a day, especially when you've got, you've got the Survivor Series for the next TakeOver show. So you've got to just kind of build this thing slow until you get there, but hopefully it'll pay off when you get to that match. This should be pretty great. And, of course, the main storyline going through here is Samoa Joe being upset from last week, where he comes in and talks. He says, okay, I'm telling you about why I did what I did to Shinsuke. And he goes on and tells us that Shinsuke is going to be out anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks because he has separations of his clavicle and his shoulder. And he says, well, William Regal has, you either got to strip Nakamura of the title, or you need to make him the champion. And Regal basically says, well, I'll deal with that. I haven't been able to talk to Shinsuke. And Joe is pissed, and he's like, well, if you don't do something, everybody on this roster is gonna be just like Nakamura.
Ooh.
And shoves a piece of paper in Regal's face. I mean, if there's one guy that I believe that would really go around doing that, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's Samoa Joe. He can do what he wants, and he's proven that once again. I like the fact that we got this William Regal connection, because William Regal, he has his own fire, and you see how angry he gets, and it just adds so much into this feud. I'm just happier than happy that that's what's going on here, because they honestly could have just said, well, okay, William Regal, let them do their thing and then move on. No, William Regal is involved, but he can't really physically get involved. So that's what's kind of neat about it.
Besmirch Mr. Regal,
Yeah, well,
just seeing that face. Seeing that face when he gets besmirched just is a moment in itself.
Oof.
And we do get a new guy that's apparently going to show up in 2 weeks. His name is Dan Matha. He's a bodybuilder. Dude's 6'7", 300 pounds. I don't know that I want to meet him in an alley or anything, but he certainly works as a wrestler.
Yeah, he's not a guy you want to meet in an alley, right? But, I mean, he definitely has the look, and I think that, Vince is probably, for the first time, tuning in to see what's going on in NXT, just to see that body.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a non-Australian Nathan Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, 6'7", what is it, like 300 plus? Like, this dude's a beast. And if he even has a modicum of wrestling talent, he's going to go pretty far.
Oh, yeah. He will get skyrocketed up there, just as long as you don't make him another Apollo Crews or something. I feel bad. That's the new... Apollo Crews is the new... guy. Like, you're just a guy. They need to name it the Cruise. You're cruising.
Only the most recent guy they've done this to. It's happened to a lot before.
Yeah. Just seems to be like we get stuck in that. Poor guy. But
so sad.
Maybe one of these days. But I think that's all for NXT, though.
That is, and of course, we have a lot more great stuff leading up until next week's episode, and we'll have to let you know what happens on the next episode when we get to it next week. But now we are going to move on and talk some Lucha Underground for you guys. That's right, we had some interesting things happen on this episode, and we also had a title defense. Wow, that's kind of cool. We'll be right back with Lucha Underground, guys.
Go for it, Paul.
All right. Lucha Underground this week opens, of course, with the usual sort of recap video where you get all the recap and the fun stuff. Then we cut to Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca Jr. having a sparring session even. Dragon Azteca stops because he wants revenge for Pentagon Dark breaking his arm, and Rey's like, dude, there's a much bigger thing going on here than what Pentagon Dark did to you. And Chavo shows up, and they sort of exchange some barbs, and they get into a fight and all this stuff, and Chavo's just not liked, it would seem. And then we go to ringside. Dario spins the good old dial of doom to figure out who Matanza is going to murder this week, and it's the Mac. So the Mac comes on down. They have themselves a Lucha Underground Championship match, which Matanza wins in about 6 or 7 minutes. And Matanza is pretty much just unstoppable, guys. He's not losing. He's not going to lose ever. Champion forever.
That's the way it feels, right? I mean, but then again, that's what's so awesome about this, because he has that aroma, whatever you want to say, that he is it. No one else can take him on and be victorious. So when that person does defeat him, man, they are the guy, or they, maybe even the gal. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if someone came in and it was actually a female who won, just to be different. That's what Lucha Underground is, different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. As much as they promoted the intergender matches last season, you'd think that would not be out of the question if they did that, honestly. Matanza really shouldn't lose it unless you have somebody that's obviously going to be one of your next main guys, or is one of the main guys that's going to beat him. It's probably not going to be somebody like the Mac.
Yeah, I don't think it would be either. It's going to be somebody who has certainly mattered in the narrative. So we'll see where all that goes. But we got some more backstage stuff here. Somewhere out on the open road, Son of Havoc is watching a famous B commercial on TV, and he's hanging out with Mascarita Sagrada in what looks like his basement. And then his mom shows up with bagel bites. It's glorious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Somebody still knows what bagel bites are. Awesome.
That's all they got out there on the open road. Bagel bites and dirt.
And pizza rolls.
Oh.
So then we cut to Dario's office. Johnny Mundo bursts in again. He still wants his Lucha Underground title shot. Dario says, hey, dude, you guys got your trios title rematch tonight. Mundo says, forget that, and leaves the building. So Taya offers to replace him, and they do that later on. But before that, we have the Ultimate Opportunity match coming up where Cage takes on Tejano. Cage wins in about 5 minutes or so. And then Dario reveals that the opportunity will be given to whoever wins the best of 5 series between them, because that's what this is. Yay.
Didn't they do a best of 3 last year?
They did best of 5 in season 1 with this sort of thing with Drago and Aerostar.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I don't think they did it this last season, though.
Oh, I was thinking of some other opportunity match the one that he turned into like a tournament or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, the one with Drago and Aerostar was actually pretty good. These are 2 big guys. Cage can work with anybody, so I'm interested to see where this goes. I think if you give Tejano more time with someone, he'll get better as it goes on.
Yeah, I agree. And, right now, I love Cage, and I really hope good things come with him. So, as long as he's doing fine, I'll be happy. If he's not, then I'll be kind of bummed out, because I've really enjoyed what Cage has become over time.
Yeah, I like Cage a lot, too. I think Tejano's sort of just there for me, just because sometimes he's interesting, other times he's just stuck in these absolutely going nowhere feuds, it feels like. And, it's hard to tell if guys have that spark in 5 minutes or so, if they're going to be able to work something out longer. So I'm interested to see what these guys can accomplish in a best of 5, especially because there's not really a lot else going on for them right now, with so much being focused elsewhere in Lucha Underground. We go back to Dario's office, though, and he opens up a box that has this hat in it. He tosses it aside, and there's an envelope inside with pictures in it. And then he tosses those aside because Dragon Azteca Jr. walks in, and he wants a match with Pentagon Dark. Dario says that's fine. He's going to put it on the schedule somewhere. And someone else shows up, and the pictures are magically back on Dario's desk. And he gives them to this guy as Chavo shows up. And then Chavo says, hey, man, we need to go talk. And they head out to the ring. And that's a lot to happen in one segment.
Wow. That sounds like it. And, the intrigue is there. That's very cool, though, they do have... it's a lot, but yes, but it's still kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's Lucha Underground telling a story, and sometimes they do this where they throw in different segments in one, and you're kind of like, what happened here? Okay, well, at some point maybe I'll figure it out.
Yeah. some point it will all become clear. You just have to trust, I guess. And then you get your main event, which is the trios title matches. Drago, Phoenix, and Aerostar defend against Taya, Jack Evans, and PJ Black, better known as Worldwide Underground. They get a good amount of time here. They get almost 10 minutes. It's a fine match. It's your average everyday trios match, I think, for Lucha Underground, just sort of without that extra oomph that you get.
Yeah, Jack pouting. While interesting that they're adding story to this, was just kind of like, okay, I don't really care, and so, I was kind of looking forward to a pretty good match, and then we got this, and so maybe this means that the team's not going to last very much longer.
Yeah, which is sad. Very sad.
I'm sure pieces of it will. I don't think. I think Jack Evans and PJ Black going to be a tag team for a while. Taya and Johnny Mundo, they can go be their own act too, and everybody will still be fine for the most part. Post match though, Johnny Mundo comes in. He beats up the champion some with his running buddies. Sexy Star runs in, makes a save, and helps clear out the ring. And we've already seen sort of Mundo target Sexy a little here and there, so. There's a feud a brewing here, guys. And we cut back to the office where Dario is he's in there with Ray, telling him that, Azteca Jr. wants this match with Pentagon. And Ray's like, dude, he's not ready. And Dario says that he'll face Chavo Guerrero, and the winner will get a match against Pentagon Dark. And to make it fair, Ray's going to be the special referee of that match. And instead of penciling it in, Dario writes it in ink. So it's going to be a thing. And that's your Lucha Underground.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. And you get some, direction right at the end of the show. I like that. I like to kind of put a little bit of a, permanent stamp on something. And that's awesome. I'm glad that they did that. Well, that is Lucha Underground, like Paul said. So we have got to move on and do some other stuff. Like we are going to go ahead and do some TNA. And don't forget, we're still talking Destruction on this show. That's right. New Japan Destruction has been going on, and they have another night of it. But we're going to save that. We're going to do some TNA Impact, and we'll be, getting into that as well. Plus the Superstar of the Week. Don't miss that as well. All right, let's do it. Let's talk Impact.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Alright, so before we get started about talking about the show, we do have a little bit of a possible secret company that may be interested in TNA. The only good thing about this company, whatever it is that they would be interested in running house shows for TNA. So TNA would go back to sort of being more of a regular wrestling company instead of just running TV tapings and having the every so often pay-per-views. And their other pay-per-views as one-night onlys. You may not have that many of them because you might have more pay-per-views that sort of matter. I don't know if that's going to get revealed exactly who that company is. There was some people speculating it might be What Culture, but I don't think that that's who it is. But maybe by the time we do the show on Sunday, or probably by Monday, we might know more. But what do you guys think about if TNA went from what they are now to doing all the stuff that they used to do as a regular wrestling company? But there's also talk that TNA might have to go into bankruptcy too, regardless. And that then you have the chance of somebody like WWE could come in bankruptcy court and decide to buy them. And then, that would kill TNA. So, what do you guys make of all this stuff? I mean, obviously, I don't want TNA to die, so hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean, as cool as it would be for WWE to have the tape library for all these people, I'd hate for it to be at the expense of TNA,
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you have other parties interested in trying to keep TNA afloat, but if they got to declare bankruptcy, that's a gamble. because you can certainly have competition move in and buy it for even cheaper than what was going to happen, or sort of sidetrack all your plans that you have going. So I think you got to be real careful with that. And I mean, if you got to find more people with pockets, then I think TNA knows what they got to do then if they want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand Billy Corgan wants to buy it himself, so he doesn't have to deal with having to have other people to answer to. But got to be careful there.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Well, so let's get into what happened on this actual show here. Of course, we have more Grand Championship tournament matches. Since they actually figured out that, Impact Wrestling should start with a wrestling show, of all things. Eddie Edwards and Drew Galloway as, whoa. Man.
Uh-oh. The water came rushing down. Oh, sorry.
All of our microphones are doing funny things today. But, yeah, so Galloway wins via split decision because it goes to a third round and each guy won 2 rounds.
Yeah. And also, if you don't mind, Sean, as well, I'll talk about this match, but I'd also like you to talk about the other one, too, because I have something I want to bring up about both of these semifinal matches. And so,
okay.
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
The other Grand Championship match was Aaron Rex and Eli Drake. And so Aaron Rex wins the first round because he made Eli Drake tap out, I think. And then Drake hit the blunt force trauma, and he was able to get the pinfall there, so he won. And then the third round, I don't necessarily...
The third round, basically, it kind of ended in a judge's decision because it was not a clear... they had to make kind of an overall decision. They ran out of time. But at the end of it, they did announce that, Eli Drake was not successful. Well, I'm actually thinking about the Drew Galloway. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm opposite. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Galloway match. This one actually ended with Aaron Rex actually ending the third one, the third quarter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he
pretty
won
fast.
With the
spinning...
The Revelator or whatever.
Revelator, yeah. So that was wrong on that. But, okay, so... I think these matches are fine. I'm definitely curious what Paul has to say about this, but I want to bring this up before he comments. The thing about these matches, and I've enjoyed some of them have been kind of lame ducks. I don't like the pattern of, hey, every time we do this, we're going to mostly have one guy win, the next guy wins, and then the other guy either wins decisively or we just have him run out of time. But kind of like these 2 matches ended up being, because it's so formulaic. I would have loved if Aaron Rex would have came in here and won both of them, been definitive. Then he could have held it over Drew Galloway. Maybe Drew Galloway was definitive on his victory. Maybe a TKO. I don't know. To me, they had the same exact formula, just with a little bit different ending. And I get it. That's what these matches are all about. I totally get that. But to me, honestly, in a way, it kind of turned me off a little bit personally.
I really enjoyed the opening match between Eddie Edwards and Drew Galloway. I thought it was very well worked. It was great. And I think the entire purpose of the match was to keep Eddie in line to maybe be challenging for the Grand Championship down the road, simply because Drew, they have to go to a split decision to declare Drew the winner. Eddie looks really strong in this and loses nothing just because he didn't get his hand raised. It's one of those win-win situations, I think, there. The other match was sort of a bore. I don't think Eli Drake's really cut out for this kind of style. Aaron Rex, I'm still on the fence about, but he works a great brawler, I think, throughout. So there's something there, and I'm interested to see what him and Galloway try to pull out at Bound for Glory now that these two are going to be in the finals. But I personally didn't have a problem with either of them. It's just Aaron Rex and Eli Drake was less wow factor for me.
And it's not about these matches particularly. It's just about the formula. And I think we're going to get into a point eventually with these matches. It's going to be so formulaic, and they can only do so many different endings that I'm kind of like, oh man, eventually it's just going to become so old hat.
Well, they haven't had any kind of shenanigans yet. So will they get to the point where they feel like they need to have those go in because you have played all the cards?
And it's also that we might be on overload too, because they've been doing this nonstop for 3-4 weeks now, and you're only going to see this type of match again whenever the championship's on the line. And I don't know how often that's going to be, but it certainly, I think it will help at least keep it somewhat fresh if you don't do it so often.
Yeah, as long as they don't make it like it's their new TV title and they have one of these matches every which I can understand. Also, the other side of it, right? Like, they may feel that it needs to be like a TV title and that they need to have this every show so that this is different than your regular wrestling match because it has the rounds. So hopefully it's not that, but I can see them thinking that they perhaps need to have it every show. Like, you always have some kind of X Division thing every show. You always have you have a women's thing every show or most shows. So, this may be another one of those cogs where they feel like, okay, well, part of the 2 hours has to be something that goes on with the Grand Championship, but maybe not,
Yeah, true. I know, just once again, just kind of a little thing I've been nervous about because of the fact that I like these matches okay, it's just that formula gets to me. But you got a good point there, Paul. It may not be like this, and I may be kind of maybe on overload on this a little bit. So
They did have stuff after the first Galloway and Eddie Edwards match with Galloway being asked about who he wants to wrestle in the final, and he, takes a poke at Lashley and EC3 that they're going to have to move their match somewhere else because they're not going to be able to beat what he's going to be able to do against whoever his opponent is. And EC3 comes out, and then Lashley comes out, and then Galloway leaves when Lashley's going to come out. So then Mike Bennett comes in and beats up EC3, and then Lashley takes out, I think, EC3 as well, and then Moose comes out, and just everybody comes out because I guess they couldn't have one moment in the show where you don't have one of these cluster promo segments.
Yeah, it's just one of those, that they kind of decided would be, kind of helpful, which it was. I think, when it comes down to it, I get where they were trying to come from. They were wanting to get everybody involved, and they did that a good job. I think EC3, of course, making the statements that he made towards Drew Galloway. And then, of course, then you have, of course, Bobby Lashley getting, and of course, all these other guys getting involved. It makes sense to me why they did that. So I don't have a problem with it per se. To me, it was pretty good for the most part.
I thought it was fine. It lacks energy for me. Like, I need some more, like, they need that tipping point part where, and hopefully you get this on the go home because to make that main event and everything sort of stand out, because you have a lot of stuff going on in your undercard now. Like, you have Moose, who's probably going to just run right the heck over Mike Bennett, but I mean, that Grand Championship match is going to be good. You have, the Great War between the Decay and the Broken Hardys, and you have a lot. I think you have to. That's overshadowing what you have going on in this main event, and you might want to. You need something big, I think, to really help tip it over the edge.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, you do have a lot of sort of other things going on this show and just in TNA in general. So you have a lot of things that are taking away that focus. Rosemary has a big old thing on the Great War and the Hardys, and the fans are really into the elite and the obsolete and all that stuff. So, this thing's getting over in that environment, which is great. Basically, the broken brothers are telling the Decay that they are wishing the magic away, in this magical universe. And so because of that, they're going to no longer be beautiful and crazy and rosy and all this other stuff. And then Rosemary says, well, there's only 2 of them and there's 3 of us, and they're going to deal death. And then here comes Broken Revy to attack Rosemary because, she attacked a mother and her child. And so I guess 3-on-3 now in the Great War.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in how all this is going to play out. It's been such a fun ride. They've continued to keep this fresh, and I'm just, I don't know if I can get any more hyped.
I'm loving this. For the most part, this is the most we've heard them talk. I think for me at least, maybe we've seen them talk in little spurts here and there, back and forth, but nothing to the extreme that they had here. It kind of felt like the decay were going on and on and on, which was fine. I mean, they need to do their thing, but it was a little bit surprising that they had that much time to talk before even the Hardys came out. At the end of this, I did like it. I enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite things to watch on TNA, so I'm not complaining at all. I was just surprised it kind of had so much time when it was just a talking segment.
Yeah. I'm fine with this. They have done a great job with this. So whatever they get to do on the show with the Brokens and the DKs, I'm all good with that. We get DJZ defending the X Division title match against, or X Division title in a match against Trevor Lee. This lasts about 3.5 minutes, folks. How are you supposed to really do stuff in 3.5 minutes? Is this going to be the new Divas? The X Division is just going to have 3 minutes and below matches, and this is our division that we're doing here. I don't know, but at least they have Eddie Edwards coming out and acknowledging that he deserves to be the champion since he kind of had it taken away from him, and we are going to get DJZ and Eddie Edwards, looks like, for the X Division title at Bound for Glory.
And if they do, I'm sure it'll be a great match. But once again, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot here with the X Division, and it feels like we've been talking about this for forever. How badly they just keep doing by this division that helped the TNA get to where they are. So they really need to turn it around.
They do. And, this match was fine. I no worries. It was okay. There was nothing spectacular about it. It's just the fact that you kind of are going to get the same stuff a little bit over and over again for me. And I'm glad that 2 friends are excited about facing each other. But at the same point, I'm like, man, seen this already, kind of. Not as thrilled, not excited about it. Maybe it goes in a different direction, but I was okay with it, but just not thrilled.
Yeah, and I don't know how y'all going to be, whether you're going to be thrilled or going to be sort of okay with, another division they've sort of been butchering that helped TNA along in the early days. The Knockouts division, Maria constantly yelling at Allie, calling her stupid, and saying that Sienna's going to get a title shot at some point, and that this is all about Maria on this show. And, Allie placed ads on websites to try to find, Maria's first competitor. And, yeah, we just get Mystery Woman number 1. And then we get a really crazy ninja that turns out to be Gail Kim. And then Sienna gets involved, and they all kind of go after each other or whatever. But, yeah. I just got a lot of yelling out of that.
So yeah, it was, a little bit of yelling. And, what was kind of funny about this was this entire night, you've had Maria just dogging Allie, the entire night. And every time she does something, just, you're doing this wrong, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. I think we all know where that's leading. But at the end of the day, what we get here, of course, a jobber gets squashed by Maria. Of course, Sienna has to help. And then the next thing you know, that little ninja, which I think a lot of us did guess was Gail Kim, but it was just kind of funny to see her kind of come out there and honestly kind of act goofy. It was kind of silly. It makes sense. I'm not still thrilled with this division. I'm not excited about it. I don't care. I wish I did. I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm much the same way there. I'm interested in Allie. That's really about it, just because I think they're doing a pretty superb job of keeping her interesting, and you feel bad for her every time you see her with Maria, because you know that she's about to get made to look very silly, and that's never fun.
Yeah, agreed on that.
Yeah, at least they are making somebody sympathetic in this. Yeah, so I think that's sort of what they want here. And we do get a video for the fact that Cody, just Cody, no Rhodes, no Runnels, no nothing, just Cody, he's bound for glory, guys. And then we get the main event, which is EC3 and Moose against Lashley and Mike Bennett. You're kind of standard tag match here. I didn't think it was like really just big deal or anything. It was more about showcasing the two big matches that you're going to have for Bound for Glory, or at least the ones that kind of seem to be the main event. And then you get guys just kind of brawling and beating up each other, and X Division guys showing up, and man, everything going on.
Yeah, it was pretty, there was just a ton of things going on there, and I don't know. I mean, it wasn't just awful, but nothing super special to me.
And they also announced another lethal lockdown because, just TNA has to have one of these.
Oh, yeah.
Where EC3 and Lashley are the captains, and whoever wins gets to pick the stipulation for the match.
Well, I mean, at least that's something, I don't know if you needed a lethal lockdown for it, but whatever.
Crowd was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the big brawl is sort of whatever, How TNA seems to do these a little bit more often than I think any other promotion does that we talk about every week. So I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm over it, but old hat,
Yeah, I'll say I'm over
certainly. Gary taking one for the team. He's over it.
It's done.
That's fair. Well, you know what also is done? TNA.
Yep, you're right. And now we are going to actually do some talking about New Japan Wrestling, guys. We have some destruction to get into. And, of course, we're having fun destroying things ourselves. But now we're going to talk about New Japan's version. And we're going to get into a preview as well as a review of what has happened. So we are going to go down that path right after this.
King of Sport. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Alright, so we are approaching the final Destruction show that happens on Sunday. The Destruction in Kobe. They have had two Destruction shows, the one in Tokyo that we were supposed to review on Monday, but neither one of us had watched the show. And then the Destruction in Hiroshima that basically took place on Thursday morning here at least in the United States part of the world. Everybody else obviously gets it at different times. At Thursday night for Japan. I thought that both the shows, there really wasn't a whole lot to be excited about. If you haven't seen them, I would say that you're not missing a whole lot, honestly. The Bushi and Kushida match is actually pretty good. That might be one of the best. And also the Bobby Fish and Katsuri Shibata match is also pretty good. Both of those are kind of worth checking out. Honestly, you have the Kenny Omega and Yoshihashi match that was pretty good, and then everything else was sort of just okay to underwhelming to the crowd didn't care, so it was really hard to get into, like the Young Bucks and Briscoes IWGP Heavyweight Tag Title match, where they literally did everything but throw the kitchen sink at each other, and the crowd just didn't care. The only time they popped was the Briscoes had to come up with a different tag finish because each team had stopped the other one from doing their tag finish once, and they'd also broken up the tag finish. So you had Jay Driller gets broken up by Nick coming in, or Matt coming in, I think, and you get the first Doomsday gets broken up or gets stopped by Nick. You get the More Bang for Your Buck gets stopped by Mark. You get the regular More Bang for Your Buck, the one that's not the... Okay, the Meltzer driver got stopped by Mark. The More Bang for Your Buck got broken up by Jay. So, like, they've all exhausted all their finishers or whatever, so you have to get Mark and Jay doing a splash mountain into a neck breaker, and Matt just kicks out of it, and the crowd goes, "Oh!" And that was like the only time they really did anything. And that match went about like at least 12 to 15 minutes, and I just felt so bad for them. They were just doing everything under the freaking on God's green earth, and they just could not get the crowd to care. And then the Briscoes win, and that kind of just caps off the entire night of, you had all these heavyweight tag teams against these junior tag teams, and the heavyweights win every time. So, and even in the ROH World Title match with Ospreay and Cole beats Ospreay, which you would expect because he's not losing the ROH World Title to Ospreay. The crowd was really into Ospreay, by the way. They were really, really into him. But just the match wasn't that good. And Fale and Okada is Fale and Okada. It's either going to be really good or it's going to suck. And this one was kind of just in the middle there. And the main event wasn't anywhere near what the G1 match was, but it was still pretty good. But you knew Omega's winning, and that kind of takes you out of it too, because it's like he's not losing to Yoshihashi here. So that's the kind of thing. And you had a lot of stuff on the Tokyo show that was also kind of underwhelming after the two main matches. So I think the best sort of things that weren't the main matches were LIJ, Los Ingobernables, your dudes, Gary, they continue to basically carry the undercards. And on the Hiroshima show, they had a really cool thing with Elgin. They actually injure him at the beginning of the match. Naito and Evil take him to the ramp, and they hit him with a chair, and they drive the chair into his knees so that Naito basically has an injured spot that he can go after in their main event match in the Kobe show. And then Elgin comes back out and does a Willis Reed moment. And for those of you who don't know who Willis Reed is, he was a basketball player in the 70s for the New York Knicks. So the crowd really pops for that, and then basically LIJ still wins, but you still have the really big moment, and then Elgin basically just tosses. He does the Elgin bomb to Naito and kind of gets some revenge for what got done to him earlier. So they wrapped up everything really nice on a little bow and that whole story, and so it kind of built to the Kobe show that we're going to preview here in just a second. But yeah, so I don't know, it kind of sucks because you usually expect better from them,
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch the second show yet. I've seen bits and pieces of the first one. I really enjoyed Kushida and Bushi. I thought that was quite good. I had to watch Shibata and Fish. I thought those guys tore the house down. Easily could have main evented really any one of these shows with how good that match was. I think everything else has been was kind of there that I saw. Nothing overly grand, but I checked out. Oh boy, I'm forgetting the card already. That's how it wasn't anything worthwhile, right? Forgetting shows.
The Hiroshima show, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the rest of the card that I sat through.
Oh, the Tokyo card.
Yeah, Tokyo show. I haven't seen Hiroshima yet. I watched the Chaos and the Bullet Club match just because I love watching Goto and Ishii tag up, and I thought that was fine. It was nothing overly great, but
that's kind of how it was on this show too. Just you know, which again, like them being a tag team is really cool because they understand each other. They kind of have that similar. They have that similar style, so it's just
right.
You know, they're gonna crush it, but it's kind of like them having just kind of preliminary matches for whatever. And of course, we also get the fact that Gorillas of Destiny is going to challenge the Briscoes again, so I'm just totally excited about that. I think the thing was too, like in this Hiroshima show, Bullet Club was like in every single freaking match. So if you don't care about Bullet Club, or you know, a lot of these like the Bullet Club D team guys, just they don't matter. It's really hard to get into them, no matter what they do. I mean, that being said, you know, Yujiro coming out with 2 bunny girls, you know, go him. He's obviously got the connections, but I mean, other than that, just you know,
nothing more Japanese than that, really.
Right. And they kept mentioning it too on commentary, like, oh, the bunny girls are doing this, and I'm just like, oh god, all right. And they actually called them that too. It's just like, wow, we're not even gonna bother with it. You know, they were wearing thongs, so you can imagine what the camera was for that. So you get the New Japan Destruction in Kobe, which if you go to W2Mnet.com, you can go and see that Tom, Paul, and I did a preview for the Hiroshima show. We're going to do one for this show as well. So if you like the way we did our roundtables for Backlash, which we're going to do one for Clash of Champions, we kind of did it in that vein as well, where we have a question, and then one person writes about the match, and then we move on. We don't have 30 opinions on the same match over and over. So a lot easier for you guys to read, at least from the vibe that we've been getting from everybody that kind of checks it out. So hopefully you will check it out and let us know, either in the comments section or just in that Facebook group, you know, Wrestling to the Mass Facebook group that you can go join as well. But here is the final Destruction show. After that, we don't have to wait too long. You get King of Pro Wrestling in about 2 weeks, the same weekend as No Mercy, actually the next day. So we'll be reviewing No Mercy, and then on that Monday show we'll have to review the King of Pro Wrestling show. But so on this Destruction in Kobe, we do get some of the Noah guys coming back as well, so this makes it a little bit interesting. You get Finlay and Hinare, the guy from New Zealand, and Kawato, Hirai Kawato, one of the Young Lions, against Ospreay, Will Ospreay, Rocky Romero, and Beretta. So I think we know who's winning here, Paul.
Yeah, it's not the Young Lions.
Certainly not. You know, Team Chaos against the Young Lions, so Team Chaos is going to win on that. You get Yoshitatsu, the 2 geeks of New Japan, Yoshitatsu and Captain New Japan, against Yujiro and Chase Owens. This just... I wish I could just hit skip.
I'm vaguely interested to see if they're ever going to capitalize on Yoshitatsu putting up a poll about whether he should drop Captain New Japan because he loses all the time. It's really about all I'm interested in here.
Yeah. Captain New Japan's going to take the pin, as you'd expect.
Of course.
That's what he does.
That's his entire job.
And and so we get Togi Makabe, Tomoaki Oma, and Ryusuke Taguchi against Hiroshi Tenzan, Tiger Mask, and Kanematsu, the other young lion, because Kojima is busy in another match. Kanematsu's on the other side, so I imagine that the Great Bash Heel team is going to win here.
Yeah, I'd imagine the Great Bash Shield team wins here too, unless they decide to let Tenzin finally do something and capitalize on the one last hurrah thing he had going during the G1. But I highly doubt that.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Just kind of going through it. One of the funny things from this Hiroshima show is that you had Nakanishi and Nagata in I think it was an 8-man, and you had a Red Dragon on the other side. Well, Nakanishi went to go do his slingshot plancha, and Kyle O'Reilly didn't understand that Nakanishi can't fly very far. So Nakanishi basically just falls flat on his face, and Kyle O'Reilly actually still sells for him. He completely missed Kyle O'Reilly, but O'Reilly sold for him anyway. So it was funny. So you get
Sure, one of the branches hit him on the way down. I mean, a tree's not small.
No, literally the tree went splat, and then O'Reilly fell down. It's great. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'll take any opportunity to say that Manobu Nakanishi is a tree.
He was certainly a deadwood on that one. So you get Nakanishi and Nagata against Red Dragon, and actually Red Dragon won, even though they had a young lion on their team. Usually something you don't see happen a lot. So again, goes to show that they really protect these guys in New Japan, and that should bode well for this match, where Red Dragon probably wins.
Yeah, and not to mention, I'm interested to see them sort of tangle with Yuji. Just because, Nagata has that MMA shoot fight submission ground game that these two love to work, and him and Kyle O'Reilly could really have a great match, I think. So something I'd be interested to see there. But yeah, I think you're on point here too. Red Dragon getting the victory.
So are they going to do O'Reilly and Shibata in Japan? Because O'Reilly kept making a title gesture. Was he promised a title match after Fish lost?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know with the spinal injury that Shibata's taken, though. I don't know what his plans are, really.
Right. Which, again, if you have not heard that he has a spinal injury that's not looking good. Hopefully it's not career-threatening or anything, but not looking good for the guy. And kudos to him for wrestling with, I'm sure that couldn't have felt good to be wrestling with that. Satoshi Kojima, Ricochet, and Matt Sydal defending their never openweight 6-man tag titles against Young Bucks, Adam Cole, of course, the main Bullet Club team here. I do like Adam Cole's music. It's just Adam Cole, baby, 4 times, and then his music starts.
That's all you need.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
It's let's make him extra annoying. Let's just do that. I could see Cole and the Young Bucks winning because Omega and the Young Bucks were champions before, and they do like to hot potato these things. Aren't they doing the trios titles in ROH? So
yeah, their 6-man tag team title tournament starts at All Star Extravaganza on the 30th. And I don't know if Cole's defending the world title on that show, so he's not obviously going to be in that tournament. And Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, are in Ladder War. So if they are going to be in the tournament, it'll be at a later date.
Right, and you did mention the Young Bucks having gold on them. They unfortunately didn't get to win the heavyweight tag titles, but if they win here, they do get to have extra gold on them.
Yeah, I think the Bullet Club pulled off here too, just because I think, the oddball and very fun combination, I should add, of Kojima, Ricochet, and Sydal is great, and I would have no problem with them retaining. I think you want the Bullet Club. I think New Japan wants the Bullet Club to at least look somewhat threatening again, with how much Ring of Honor is using him.
Yeah, and Adam Cole is sort of unknown there too, so I think it helps in a way that people do like the Young Bucks because during that match with the Briscoes, the Young Bucks were sort of the faces almost. So you could sort of position them with Cole winning, and at least the crowd's going to enjoy the matches and everything. Then we get Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and the Briscoes against Kenny Omega, Bad Luck Fale, and Gorillas of Destiny. This should be a good match. I hope. You get all these intangibles in there. You should get some good action.
There is a whole lot of badass in that ring, and then you have Tangaroa. That's the match. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Goto Ishii Briscoes.
Yeah, Goto and Ishii have been on a tear recently. I don't see that stopping here. You get more LIJ against Tanahashi and friends, with Tanahashi, Juice, and Kushida taking on Sonata, Evil, and Bushi. LIJ always seem to win these things when Naito's involved. But Naito's not involved here, even though you have Juice who could technically take the pin. I'll go ahead and say LIJ still win. But
I'm going to go with LIJ too. I'm really looking forward to this too, though, just because I think Juice and Kyle O'Reilly actually had a really good match back at Hiroshima or Tokyo, excuse me. And LIJ, I think Bushi and Sonata, like, these guys need to step up, and I think giving him a win here at least certainly helps them look towards the future. And Evil, of course, if Shibata is going down, I think Evil's got his eyes on that never openweight title.
Yeah, certainly, and I think, this has been a thing before with them, is that they have won without Naito to show that they're a strong group. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens here. You get an odd combination of Team Chaos with Kazuchika Okada, Yoshihashi, and Geto and Jado tagging together against Naomichi Murafuji, Toru Yano, of course, GHC Tag Champions, Daisuke Harada, and Satoshi Kotoge of Noah. So you get Noah team against the New Japan team. Always grateful when this little rivalry gets renewed here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going Team Noah here. I think Naomichi ends up getting the pin over Tacos.
I would agree. Yeah, you want to set up for their King of Pro Wrestling match, so having Team Noah win helps there. And here we go, the main event, with the caveat that, again, the big talk is Naito Tanahashi IC title match, because Tana never got his rematch. And it also provides you get the two Japanese stars going against each other in Tokyo, while you have the Okada and Omega main event. So do you see that happening where Michael Elgin loses the IC title here?
As much as I hate to say it, I think so. And that's just because I think Naito's a hotter hand. I think they want a title on him. The Intercontinental title is fine. And if they want him, like him and Tanahashi, they'll tear the house down. They'll tear the dome down. So I think that'll be a fine match. And Elgin can certainly find there are plenty of other spots on that card available for him. And as much as I want to see him get a good reign here, I think Naito wins.
Yeah, I think Naito wins too, because it does allow them to, if they want to, remember Elgin did beat, because now if Shibata doesn't come back for a while, the only other challenger that Omega technically has, even though Goto did end the Hiroshima show, wanting a shot at the briefcase, and Omega was like, go to hell.
Classic guy, that Kenny Omega.
Elgin is technically the only other guy that has earned a shot. So having Elgin not be the IC champion would make sense for him to challenge for that. And, it would be more legit that he would actually possibly win the briefcase, because he's not... Usually you don't have your champion also have something else, other than some six-man title or something like that. So, yeah, I'm going to say Naito wins. I really think they want to do that semifinal match at Tokyo Dome with him and Tanahashi. And, Elgin's had a decent run with it. I think he's certainly proven he can draw, and the fans love him, so I don't think you have to worry about Elgin, whether he loses it or not. And
fully agree.
That's your Destruction in Kobe show.
Awesome. So there you guys go. You get everything that you need when it comes to New Japan Destruction. But now we've got one thing left to do in this show, and that is crown a Superstar of the Week. So let's go ahead and do that next.
Superstar of the Week.
Go for it.
Alrighty, guys. Now it is time. It is time for us to do this thing and crown a Superstar of the Week. But let's start out with a guy that gets 1 point from us, and this is an interesting name that you guys know. That's DJZ.
DJZ defends the X Division title in a, albeit sort of meh match that only lasts a very short amount of time, but he does defend that championship, and I thought the Briscoes were getting a point.
Well, we had talked about that, but they got moved out the list. Now, we can reconsider that if you guys want to give the Briscoes instead of DJZ.
Yeah, because that sort of meant more, and the match went longer, and it was better than that match.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, there you go. Sorry, DJZ. You just got to do a little bit better. The Briscoes get 1 point from us. All right, with 2 points, Adam Cole, baby.
It knows we're ending, so now it wants to be an ass again, this Skype.
Adam Cole with 2 points.
Yeah,
I
it
heard
just
nothing of
Gary.
what you just said.
Yeah. Adam Cole with 2 points. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
There you go. Adam Cole, Sean. What about him? Why did he deserve 2 points?
Yeah, because he had a good match with Will Ospreay. It was, I think a lot of us were expecting something great, and we didn't get that. You also knew that no way Adam Cole was losing this match, so that kind of takes you out of it a little bit. But he defended the ROH World Title in Japan.
With 3 points, Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Kenny Omega had the briefcase defense against Yoshihashi at the last Destruction show in Hiroshima. Main evented, successfully retained. Good match from everything I've been hearing, also from what Sean told me too. So, hats off to Kenny Omega.
4 points goes to Matanza.
Yeah, Matanza beat the Mac. Keeps being Lucha Underground champion. I mean, the dude has been on a roll since he won that title.
And with 5 points and our Superstar of the Week, it goes to Bushi.
Yeah, Bushi beats Kushida in the main event at the first Destruction show out in Tokyo. Sort of surprises everybody. I'm really glad they did this, though. The guy needed a win. He's now the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And, hats off to Bushi. He finally gets that big win and looks legitimate, and despite all the losses that he's taken to Kushida over the last year and a half.
Definitely. There you go, guys. Exciting stuff once again. I mean, a really cool list here. A great, diverse list, if you ask me, compared to what we usually get. So this is awesome. Well, that's our show for today. We've got some things that we want you to know, though, before we do get out of here. Make sure you do go check out W2Mnet.com. Like Sean said, there's some great stuff there for you. A lot of that New Japan stuff we're talking about, you'll get some of that stuff on the website. Plus, all the other things that we do with this show and podcast will be there and available, ready for you. Plus, hey, once again, if you're new, you like everything we're talking about, go subscribe to the W2M Network, or just tell someone about it. Hey, maybe you're subscribed already. You say, quit telling me about it. Well, then, hey, do us a favor. Go tell someone else about it and help them. And, of course, got lots of stuff on this week. We got plenty of things coming your way. So, Sean, why don't you tell us about them?
Yeah, of course, we've got the Sunday show with reviewing Clash of Champions. We're also going to have a little W2M Extra reviewing the Destruction in Kobe show, which hopefully Tom can be on. We're going to do a Destruction in Kobe preview for the website. We're also going to do a Clash of Champions preview for the website as well. So that's stuff to check out. Of course, we'll be sharing those out in the group, so you guys can read that or But yeah, if you go to W2M.com, you'll see it right there on the front page, hopefully by Saturday morning when you wake up there. And we'll also a video game show. I feel okay right now, so hopefully sometime tomorrow. I don't know, can't guarantee you that. We do need to make sure we do one before I leave for Dallas on Monday, though, so it'll be sometime. If not on Friday, it'll be over the weekend. And other than all the football shows, and Fox's Squid Show and stuff, I haven't. The wrestling shows were kind of empty this week. So you got some of the other shows, but I don't know what I'm gonna get over the weekend. I have to. Usually the other wrestling shows kind of show up on Saturdays or whatever. It's just, hey, whatever shows my inbox. Hey, it's here. You post it now. Okay. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully you do get some interesting and great content coming your way, Sean. And, of course, that'll be spread out to all of you listening. You'll get a chance to get that on the W2M network. Well, we've had a great show. Lots of great stuff we've talked about. And, of course, don't forget about that Sunday night show once again. And, I want to apologize for the mic issues here. I don't know what's going on. Every time I have an issue, I'm looking here, my levels are fine, but it's not for everybody else. It's weird.
It's Skype.
Stranger things.
I don't think it's your levels at all.
I think it's part of Stranger Things. Don't be surprised if I don't end up in the bottom of a well somewhere. It's weird.
Well, as long as
but anyway,
Emmy for it, we're good.
Hey, that'd be awesome for the show. But once again, this show was dedicated to Pops, and we love him. And you just keep him in your thoughts, and we are definitely gonna miss him for sure. And thanks, Pops, for being such a great guy. Until we get to you guys next time, for myself, for Sean, Paul, if you're not living life to your max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.